ونفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. We are in Sura Fatir, and last week we were studying قول الله سبحانه وتعالى in verse number 11. والله خلقكم من تراب ثم من نطفة ثم جعلكم أزواجا. And Allah created you from dust, then from nutfa, and we spoke about this word, nutfa, and then He made you pairs, or He made you alike. وَاللَّهُ خَلَقَكُم مِّن تُرَابٍ. And last week we were saying that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, sometimes the Quran Allah says that He created you from dust, and sometimes it comes He created you from clay, and sometimes you find He created you from water, and sometimes you find other verses He created you from mud. And so, from which one were we created? Do you remember what you said?
They were right.
They were right. How?
Combination.
Combination
of dust
there are
and
stages, yeah. So dust first, and then you add water, it becomes mud, and then make the shape, and then leave it to dry, it becomes thicker, and so on. To come to salsal, and salsal min hamam masnoon, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. And then after that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blows the spirit, the ruh. Allah blows the ruh in it. And we didn't witness that, we didn't see it. We didn't see when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us. But we see death. So death is the demolition of life. So death removes this life. So if you say that you build an extension, and then the council comes and says that you didn't have the right planning permission, you have to remove it. So when you built it, you started by digging, and then you lay the foundation, and then after that you put some beams, and start putting the ceiling, the walls, and after that decoration, and the curtains and windows and so on. So when you want to remove it, you reverse all of that. First thing, you remove the curtains and the lights, and you demolish the walls, remove the ceiling and the beams, and then the foundations, and then return it as it was. So if you look at our death, when we created, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blows the soul, the spirit, last thing, dust, water becomes mud, clay, so on, until the soul was blown in the body. So when you die, first thing, the soul is removed. It's the reverse. The soul is removed. So then you have the body in front of you, perfect. Everything with the eyes, the nose, and you can see the person as they are. But the only thing, there is no soul. There is no ruh. It left. And then after that, some time, that body starts to decay. So it becomes soft, and then gradually becomes softer and softer, becomes so fragile and disintegrates under the ground. And last thing, it becomes dust again. It's the reverse. It started from dust, and then the ruh was blown at the end. When you die, the ruh leaves, and then decays until you go back to the origin, to the dust. So if we didn't witness the creation, but we can see the demolition of life, which is the reverse of the creation. So we can see the evidence that we were created in the opposite direction. If we can see that now from being alive, like we are now, go down to dust, we can see those stages, we were created in the same stages, upwards. وَاللَّهُ خَلَقَكُم مِّن تُرَابٍ ثُمَّ مِن نُطْفَةٍ ثُمَّ جَعَلَكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا. And then He made you in pairs. Or we said the last time, we said azwaja could mean also made you of similar groups. Or we made you in pairs, male and female, in order for this race to continue. So you have male and female, and then it continues. And from the beginning of the surah, Allah says, يَزِيدُ فِي الْخَلْقِ مَا يَشَاءُ. The creation of Allah has no limitation. So we have laws in life, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His power has no limitation, has no laws. We cannot implement the physical laws of this life to judge or to look at the power of Allah. And we repeated that a few times. Allah created Adam from no parents. And then his wife came from male, no female. It came from the male. And then Jesus was created from female, but without a male. And all of us are created from male and female. And sometimes you have the male and female and no children. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He decides in which way to create. Musa alayhi salam, by the way, when he was running away with the children of Israel from Pharaoh, and they came to the sea. So imagine that they left Egypt, and they're traveling now. They're running away from Pharaoh, and then Pharaoh, in the morning, Pharaoh realized the children of Israel are not there, then started to follow them. So they came to the sea. Now the sea is in front of them, and they were wondering what to do. They looked behind and they could see the army. Then the companions of Musa said to him, "Inna lamudrakun," we've been caught. Like, what to do? If we march, we'll drown. If we wait, we'll be captured by Pharaoh. Inna lamudrakun, we're done. He said, "Kalla," and the word "kalla" is a strong word in Arabic to say no. Kalla, like no way. Inna ma'ya rabbi sayahdeen. Because according to the laws of this life, we're done now. We're finished. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has different powers. It's different to ours. He said, Inna ma'ya rabbi sayahdeen. My Lord is with me and He will guide me. And then Allah said, Qul nadrib bi'asaka al-bahr. Allah said to him, strike the sea with your stick. And what happened? The water, which is fluid, water normally flows down. That water moved up and made two big mountains of water. Let's imagine like one mountain on the right and mountain on the left made of water. If you have water, it normally flows down. It never goes up. So that water, two big mountains of water, and then Musa and his followers moved between these two. Allah said, like massive mountains, huge mountains of water on the right and the left. So, and they walked. When they reached the other side, Musa wanted to strike the sea for the mountains to go down. Allah said to him, وَاتْرُكِ الْبَحْرَ رَهْوًا, leave the sea, don't worry about it. He wanted to do that to stop Pharaoh from following them. Because now they crossed to the other side, and Pharaoh is there. He said, but they will follow us. So he wanted to do something about it, he wanted to close it. Allah said, leave it, don't worry about it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered the water to go back to its nature. It flows down. After they passed, so Pharaoh followed, while all of them, all the army was in the middle of the sea, like between the two mountains of water. Then they restored their original nature, and then they fell down on them. وَاللَّهُ خَلَقَكُم مِّن تُرَابٍ ثُمَّ مِّن نُطْفَةٍ ثُمَّ جَعَلَكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا. So the first is the first creation. ثُمَّ جَعَلَكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا is the continuation. So it started like that, but not every time one of us is created, they are created in the same way Adam was created. ثُمَّ جَعَلَكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا. Then He made these pairs for life to continue in this way. وَمَا تَحْمِلُ مِنْ أُنْثَى وَلَا تَضَعُ إِلَّا بِعِلْمِهِ. You'll find the concentration in the translation, maybe I say that the female never conceives without his knowledge. وَمَا تَحْمِلُ مِنْ أُنْثَى. The literal meaning of تحمل is to carry. وَمَا تَحْمِلُ مِنْ أُنْثَى. So a female does not carry anything, وَلَا تَضَعُ, and does not drop it or does not put it down without his knowledge. This is the very literal translation. So, and to carry something, this means something is not from you. And the word tahmil, when you carry something, is not part of your body. So I'm not saying I'm carrying my hand, because my hand is part of my body. But when I carry the book, I'm carrying the book, because it's not part of me. Even when I'm wearing this garment, I don't say I carry it, because it's part of me now, because I wear it. So when the female carries the child, the baby, she's carrying something that's not from her. It comes from the father. It comes from the father. So, and the womb of the mother, and even the egg of the mother, is like an incubator. It keeps that sperm to grow and to nourish it for a certain time, and then it's delivered. And later they discovered in science actually the baby is male or female because of the father, not the mother. So from mother is the same incubator. So the sperm has X and XX or XY, and the mother is the same. So the sperm of the father is the one who makes a boy or a girl. It's not the mother. And there is a story, if anyone understands Arabic, they said a woman was married to a man, his name was Abu Hamza. That was back even before Islam. So Abu Hamza, his wife gave a child, girl. Second child, a girl. Third child, a girl. He said, that's enough is enough. I leave you. Then he married another woman, and he was with that woman, and he left his wife, his first one. He didn't divorce her, but he ignored her. So one night, he felt like he wanted his wife, like he missed her. So but he didn't want to go and go back to her. So what he did, he went to the back of the house, near the window, in order to hear her, or to see her. And she was putting the baby to sleep. And she was singing to the baby. She was saying, مَا لِأَبِي حَمْزَةَ لَا يَأْتِينَ يَظَلُّ فِي الْبَيْتِ الَّذِي يَلِينَ غَضْبَانَ أَلَّا نَلِدُ الْبَنِينَ تَاللَّهِ مَا ذَاكَ بِأَيْدِينَ وَنَحْنُ كَالْأَرْضِ لِزَارِعِينَ نُنْبِتُ مَا قَدْ بُذِرَ فِينَا. You understand it? Yeah. He said, why Abu Hamza is not coming to us? Is he angry because we didn't give boys? This is not, I swear by Allah, this is not within our hands. We are like the land to the farmers. We give what was put in us. So he put a girl, will come a girl. He put a boy, will come a boy. So Allah said, وَمَا تَحْمِلُ مِنْ أُنْثَى. So the untha does not carry, so because that is given to her. It's given to the untha from the man. So the woman by herself cannot have a child, and the man is the one who gives the origin, the sperm, the starting point of the child. وَمَا تَحْمِلُ مِنْ أُنْثَى وَلَا تَضَعُ إِلَّا بِعِلْمِهِ. And even that conception, that happens by the knowledge of Allah. So when someone is pregnant, they go to the doctor and said, when was your last period? He said, then your estimated day of delivery is this. And after a few months, they do the scan, they said, no, actually, the estimated day of delivery is different. Plus or minus 2 weeks. Why? Because no one can tell when exactly the fertilization happened. They think most probably it happened on that day, and in order to make it easy, they count from the first day of the last period. But actually the fertilization did not happen on the first day of the last period. It happened after that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows when it happens. Because when the sperm goes, as we explained before, it goes inside and it travels. When it reaches the egg, then it happens. When does it reach? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. وَمَا تَحْمِلُ مِنْ أُنْثَى وَلَا تَضَعُ إِلَّا بِعِلْمٍ. And then when this untha carries the child, the provision of that child is given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You'll find most of the time, when ladies are pregnant, they put on weight, other than the child. Why? Because people say you need to eat more, because now someone eats with you. And what happens? Then the woman puts on more weight. Because actually the provision of the baby is already given. Whether she eats or she doesn't eat, the baby will take his... So that extra food makes that becomes weight. That extra food is not benefiting the baby. That extra food is extra food. And otherwise, then the woman who is pregnant in twins, she will need to eat double, or 3 or 5 or 7. So she needs to eat 7 times, but this is not the case. Yeah. They eat normal, and still the provision is given. And subhanAllah, something that you think about, that the menstruation that happens every month is a preparation for a baby. So the lining of the womb is a preparation for the baby. And if that pregnancy doesn't happen, that blood doesn't belong to the woman, is not absorbed by the body, it goes down the toilet. It leaves. Because that blood doesn't belong to her. It's for the baby. If the baby doesn't take it, then it leaves the body. It's not absorbed by the body. وَمَا تَحْمِلُ مِنْ أُنْثَى وَلَا تَضَعُ إِلَّا بِعِلْمِهِ وَمَا يُعَمَّرُ مِنْ مُعَمَّرٍ وَلَا يُنْقَصُ مِنْ عُمُرِهِ إِلَّا فِي كِتَابٍ. وَمَا يُعَمَّرُ. How is it translated? يُعَمَّرُ.
No aged person is granted. No aged person
is granted. Yeah.
Additional life.
Good.
Nor his lifespan lessened.
وَمَا يُعَمَّرُ مِنْ مُعَمَّرٍ. So it comes here in a passive tense. So he doesn't give himself age. وَمَا يُعَمَّرُ. He's not made to live long. يُعَمَّرُ. وَلَا يُنْقَصُ مِنْ عُمُرِهِ. Nor his life is made less or is decreased. إِلَّا فِي كِتَابٍ. Unless it's in a record. Someone may say here that, okay, then can the life be decreased? When Allah said, and his life is not made short or is not decreased. It doesn't mean that someone is destined to live 70 years and after some time that's made shorter. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, that lifespan is decided for this person, whether it is long or less, it's already in a record. وَمَا يُعَمَّرُ مِنْ مُعَمَّرٍ وَلَا يُنْقَصُ مِنْ عُمُرِهِ إِلَّا فِي كِتَابٍ. It's in a record. رحمكم الله. إِنَّ ذَلِكَ عَلَى اللَّهِ يَسِيرٌ. Indeed, that is easy for Allah. Again, we said in the beginning, يَزِيدُ فِي الْخَلْقِ مَا يَشَاءُ. It's all easy for him. And we studied before in Surah Allah Azza wa Jal, وَهُوَ أَهْوَنُ عَلَيْهِ, in Surah Ar-Rum. Allah said, وَهُوَ أَهْوَنُ عَلَيْهِ. So the repetition of the creation is easier than the first one. So if you do something for the first time, we're talking about building, if you build a room for the first time, it will take you a long time, and you'll make things strong, and you'll have to repeat it, and you have to learn from others. If you repeat a second time, it will be easier, or maybe less difficult, and then the third time, less difficult, and so on. Maybe after 15 times, it will start getting easier and easier. And after that, you will just know it on top of your head. You know what to do. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, that repetition of the creation that happens all the time, millions of times, we can see that every day is happening, that would be easier for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But Allah says, this is just for us to understand. The first one wasn't difficult for Allah. Allah said, this is just for you to understand that that repetition for you human beings make things easier for you. But for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even the first one was not difficult. It didn't make change for Allah. The first one from the millionth one, from the billionth one. It's all the same. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to make us understand, Allah is telling us that repetition will make things easier for you. Then the creation, Yawm al-Qiyamah, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings us back to life, after creating billions and billions of people, then on the day of resurrection, when these people are recreated, according to our understanding, that would be easier from the first time. But Allah says, even the first time was not difficult for him. إِنَّ ذَلِكَ عَلَى اللَّهِ يَسِيرٌ. وَمَا يَسْتَوِي الْبَحْرَانِ. Verse number 12. وما يستوي البحران هذا عذب فرات سائغ شرابه وهذا ملح أجاج. Allah gives us examples of things that we can sense to tell us about values, to tell us about principles. So Allah gives us examples of things that we can sense and we can see in front of us. And here the example is about Al-Bahran, the two seas. And the sea, the word sea is usually used for the salty sea. It's not for the lakes and rivers. But Allah says here, وَمَا يَسْتَوِي الْبَحْرَانِ, the two seas, meaning the sea, the salty sea, and the fresh water. So the word bahr in Arabic, meaning sea, is used for any wide or any spacious water, like any spacious container of water, like sea or a big lake or a big river. They're all called seas. And Allah said the two seas are not equal, though they look equal to us. if you look to a lake and you look to the sea, they look exactly equal. So this is water and this is water. You can't see the difference until you taste it. وَمَا يَسْتَوِي الْبَحْرَانِ هَذَا عَذْبٌ فُرَاتٌ. Allah said they are not equal. One is عَذْب furat. عَذْب means fresh. It's unsalted, it's fresh. Furat is easy to drink. وَهَذَا مِلْحٌ أُجَاج. And the other one is salty. Milh, salty, ujaj, and it's too salty. Or it is bitter. So that one is fresh and easy to drink, and the other one is salty and it's difficult to drink. And Allah said, وَمِن كُلٍّ تَأْكُلُونَ لَحْمًا طَرِيًّا. And you eat soft flesh from both of them. From this. So before we go to this example, to the theme of the ayah, let's reflect on the word of this Bahran, the two seas. Adb and salty. One is fresh and one is salty. We know that there is a water cycle. First, you have the sea, or all the waters, and this water evaporates, and then after it evaporates, it condenses, it becomes clouds, and then it rains in different areas, fresh water. And that evaporation happens from the rivers, from lakes, but mainly from seas and oceans. The more than 70% of Earth is water. So the surface area of water is greater than the land. When you have more surface area, you have more evaporation. So if you have this bottle of water, if you open it and leave it here for 3 months, what will happen? Yeah, after 3 months maybe you'll find half of it. Okay? But if I pour this water and they come tomorrow, most probably it's not there, it's gone. Because when you pour it, you increase the surface area and it evaporates quicker. So what Allah made for us, Allah made the oceans to cover 70% of the earth, to increase the surface area, so evaporation happens quicker and more. And you get the clouds, the water cycle goes quicker, faster. So otherwise it will take longer time for the water to, same amount of water to evaporate, and goes, and when it rains it goes back to the sea, it will take long time to evaporate again. But now if you go to the sea, there are thousands of tons of water evaporate every day from the oceans, and they go to the clouds and come down and go in the rivers and so on. Another thing that in the fresh and salty water, the rivers and all fresh water, rivers, lakes, they're always higher than the sea level. Why? Any river in the world is higher than the sea level. Any lake, any fresh water on earth is higher than the sea level. Why is that?
Is it because it's flowing? Because river flows.
River flows, yeah.
I don't know if that's the reason.
It flows to the sea, isn't it?
It flows to the sea. If it was lower,
The sea would
it will
flow.
flow in it. You won't have fresh water. Yeah. If you have if the river is lower, then the sea will flow in it, and then you'll have salty water. So Lord, always rivers are flowing from heights to the sea and to the oceans, and when it rains somewhere, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَسَلَكَهُ يَنَابِيعَ فِي الْأَرْضِ. In other lands, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, remote, far from the sea, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala orders that water to go underground to store it. So you go somewhere, it's desert, no water, no river, no lake, dry, and you dig, you get water. That water, actually, sometimes it rained somewhere far from this place, and underground it moved to that land. So people there can find water. People in Africa, when they have famine, and people do like charity work and go there, what they do, they dig wells for them. Yeah, where does the water come from? It doesn't rain there. So that water rains somewhere else, and Allah sends it underground. If it was overground in that heat, it would evaporate. It won't reach them. But it goes down and it flows to those people underground. So وَمَا يَسْتَوِي الْبَحْرَانِ هَذَا عَذْبٌ فُرَاتٌ. Another thing that when Allah says وَمِن كُلٍّ تَأْكُلُونَ لَحْمًا طَرِيًّا, inshallah we'll finish by this. you eat soft flesh from both of them. People fish in the sea and from rivers and lakes, right? And people who know fish well, they know there are some fish from fresh water and other fish like salmon comes from fresh water and sea basses from sea. But when you taste them, the fish that comes from the sea, is it salty?
No.
You still need to add salt. So when you taste the meat, it's almost the same. The difference here, some fish is different than the other. But in terms of salt, they are the same. Lahman tariya, soft flesh. It's white and nice. Or some red or brown. But it's not salty. So what happens to that salt? It's in the sea, that very salty water. Some oceans are very salty. Some are saltier than others. But the fish comes from there, it's not salty. It's nice and easy to eat. So Allah creates those fish with certain faculties and certain power in them to filter that water, to filter the salt out and use the fresh water inside themselves.
Well,
so you get
store food,
yeah.
Good way to keep things fresh.
Similar to trees. You have a tree of pepper. You have a tree of pepper, chili, and next to it, sugar cane. Right next to each other, from the same mud, from the same soil, same water. They eat the same thing. And then this gets something, and this gets something else. Allah creates in them what filters out what they don't need. You have sometimes the natural fertilizers, manure. So you have apple tree in your house, and you want it to be strong. You go to someone and you get some manure from the horses, and you put it smells, and the neighbors complain, what's that bad smell? But what about the apples? They're not smelly.
No.
The apples, they smell apples.
Yes.
They don't smell same. What happens to that smell? What happens to that substance? Allah creates in that tree what filters out what's not needed and takes only what's needed. They say capillary tubes. When they're discussing, they're studying in the beginning, they said how the water goes up in the trees. And then they said the capillary tubes, they are as thin as your hairs. And there is an experiment, they get like some water, have colored water, they put the capillary tubes, and then water moves up. No pump or anything, just water moves up. Have you seen that or know about that? So it move up in the capillary tubes. But those capillary tubes, they suck everything, just water, salty water, colored water, any water, it goes up. But in the trees, it's not like that. Those roots of the trees, they know exactly what to take. The filth and the manure doesn't go up. It takes the water and the mineral, what this tree needs is different from what this tree needs. Every tree takes what it needs. Like the fish in the sea, the fish in the fresh water takes from the fresh water and survives and gives you that tasty flesh, and the fish in the salty water takes what it needs from the salty water and it gives you similar meat as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi.